And what I'm really looking at is the way in which politics works now in both of these North American societies. Because if you look at the way they're organized, people have busy lives, there are many other social distractions, and so because of that, you have to try as a political operative to reach them in the places that they are, but also not just to reach them in sort of a manipulative way, but really to engage in a conversation with them. Because what ideally happens is public opinion, public attitudes are measured, a party adjusts its offering to fit that, and then after that it is presented to the public. And then after that, you measure the success of that, and life goes on, and you try the next thing. It's really sort of a conversation. And it uses a constant communicative model in that what you're trying to do is build an impression gradually over time to the public about what the party is, what its policies are, who the leader is, and importantly, what its values are. In order to be successful with this, it seems that the winning party has everything lined up. It has the face, it has the values, it has the message, it has the policies, it knows with whom it is trying to speak, and it knows what market position it occupies. So done well, marketed politics looks more like that, and it looks like that in both the United States and in Canada. It seems to be similar in that way. There seem to be some systemic differences, such as the timing of the elections. How much money you can raise here matters a lot. How much money parties can spend here changes the game a little bit. And then there's the structure of the party, in which at the federal level, the MPs essentially are followers, and the leader counts for a lot more than in the United States. We could ask Barack Obama what he thought about having a Democratic congressional majority. It turned out that in some level that wasn't easier than having a Republican congressional majority, because the Republicans were predictable. You knew they were going to oppose everything you were going to introduce. Whereas in Canada, that could not happen. Canadian parties have to be better prepared to run an election campaign at all times and do their U.S. counterparts. The U.S. counterparts sort of know when the election is going to be, so you have the pre-election thing, and then you have the campaign. And in the provinces here, where you have fixed election dates, you start to get into that kind of system where you have the pre-election part, and then there's the election part that counts. The values that the audience will put up with being exposed to seem to be significantly different in the United States than they are in Canada. It's not that parties in Canada don't necessarily use negative advertising. It's just not necessarily effective if it's the kind of in-your-face U.S. advertising that we swallow wholesale in our country, and that Americans seem like they're willing to have a lot more heat in the message and a lot more in-your-face kind of communication than our Canadians. Canadians in this aspect seem to be not unwilling to accept negative messages, but they seem to be unwilling to accept their negative messages that are in your face and extremely negative. So a subtle, well-done negative message here can be extremely effective. And if you look, you've seen all three parties get that to work, and you've seen all three parties get in trouble where they try to do the in-your-face U.S. advertising. In that sense, the audience seems to be significantly different. Our government is the separated system. This government is the Westminster Model. It works completely differently, and it works differently in marketing too. For example, even though we'd all like to have an equivalent of question period, we don't. And that can be a key conduit, particularly for the opposition party, to get its message out. And then after that, the government can talk after the question period about the things that it wants to talk about. You get a clarity in the Canadian system that you don't get in the U.S. system.